Hey guys, this is John Scarborough here.
And Savannah.
We This is going to be our 100th video or somewhere close to it anyway, depending on whether or not I can actually get it right. But we figured we hadn't really put a video out explaining what our channel is about. Um, so I figured this would be a good chance to kind of explain, touch on what the channel is about, why you might be interested in subscribing to our channel, kind of the things you might learn here. Okay. So what's the first subject we're going to talk about, Savannah?
What our channel is about, like our purpose for the channel and what our goal is for it and for our viewers.
Okay. All right. So I think for the most part, for me, the biggest reason I created this channel, uh, I saw a lot of stuff about making a living online. It was just kind of stuff I kept seeing out there, and all of it was online stuff, and that's great if that's something you want to do. But I I personally know a lot of people that they don't really want to be indoors all the time making using their computer or something like that, and they're just kind of a more of a hands-on type of people, and they just simply don't have the education for it. And I also know some people like myself that might would enjoy some of the online work, but they don't want that to be their sole thing. They don't want to be spending most of their time doing that. Maybe a small portion of it. So it's perfectly fine if you use that as a supplemental income, and of course, it's perfectly fine if that's the only thing you want to do. My sister-in-law, that's actually what she does, and she does very well. She enjoys it. Um, and it's great for them. So if that's what you've got, go ahead and use that. But what this channel is more geared towards is kind of getting back to the roots, because for really a lot of years before, um, yeah, just, I mean, really just a lot of years. That's all people did. That's how they made their living, was at home. Everything was at home, and then you might have a few people that made a living in the towns, 100, 200 years ago. But now um, it's all like you got to go off somewhere. The industrial age hit, and or like people would go off and log, or the coal miners and things like that. But we're trying to get back into an era here where you make a living, you kind of got more control and flexibility in your living, and then you've also got more time to spend with your family. Okay. So all we're trying to do here on this channel is explain different ways, ideas that you can make a living while having the freedom of being at home, the amount of time you save. I remember Savannah, she used to, and you can touch on this too, Savannah. She used to work, it was an hour, pretty close to an hour a day. So it would be an hour one way and then an hour back. So it was 2 hours a day of driving. Never got paid for that. She didn't get anything out of it, but also that's a lot of time that she really could never get back. Um, and there was really no, it's hard to invest anything. Like, you can listen to books during that time. There are a lot of things you can do that during that time. But the point is this gives you the freedom. Like, now that's 2 hours a day that she doesn't have to have wasted. Or if she wants to listen to a book or read a book, she can do that in her home before she goes and starts her day at work. I remember she used to get up early and be scrambling around and barely make it out every day. And you could probably explain that story better than I can. um,
I mean, just waking up because I'd have to leave super early, and so then I'd sleep as late as I could, and then leave, and maybe give me time to stop and get coffee, and that was about it. And then get to work at the last minute, and
and do you think you're any happier now than you were before?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just simply because of the time, and myself included. For years I used to weld, and I mean, I had to travel for a living, so I was gone all the time anyway. But then it, I lived out of a camper, so then when I got back to my camper, even then I couldn't feel at home. But even at those times, I would have to get up really early, head out to work, and sometimes from the camper I had to drive an hour one way. I remember there was one job I had to drive 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. And that really gets old. And there's only so many songs you can listen to on the radio, and there's only so many books you can listen to. I mean, after a while, 4 hours a day is 4 hours. Sometimes you just want to relax and enjoy your evening. Sometimes you want to come home and make dinner with your family, you know. So really that's what this channel is about, is making a living at home, but not necessarily geared towards the online marketing and things like that. Okay. So what's kind of the next subject we're gonna touch on?
How we both make a living, what we do. So we talk about a lot on. There's a lot of different topics on the channel that we do, that we make videos on. So we're going to talk about what each of us do for a living and how we make our income.
Okay. Maybe you can talk about your first step, like what you do.
Well, so far, right now, um, I grow microgreens and sell to at the farmers market and sell to restaurants. And so before I did that, I actually went to college to be an ag teacher. So I went to college for 4 years, got my degree, and I taught for 3 years at two different schools, and um, finally quit doing that and came home to work on the farm. And so now, after just different things, um, I am now growing microgreens and doing different things here and there. I take some canned goods to the market and do different things like that. It's steadily growing. I still have a lot of things that have to do. Places I can reach out to. Like I have not reached my fullest potential with a microgreen so far. So that's really what I do, and then I help John when he needs help too, doing cows and stuff.
Yeah, and I can say for both of us, we both kind of sort of run the cow stuff. She'll help me if we're having to load some of them up or something like that, or working them. For the most part, I do handle 90% of it. But you've seen the way we've run cows with the videos and stuff that we do. There's actually, we don't put a whole lot of work into them. We try to be with them every day. You know, we try to move them fairly often, and then of course in the wintertime you're feeding them hay, and then in the summertime you're moving them from pasture to pasture, or at least the way we do it. I personally prefer that method, and I think you can ask her from her experience of working with her dad and her brother, um, like the difference in the cows when you do get them up in the pen, just to check on them and do anything you need to do. These cows, you know, a lot of people, they talk about they've gotten away from medicines, and they don't give them any wormers and stuff. And I do believe that that's better. But personally, I bought my cows from someone that was already doing that. And I really don't think it's going to be smart to just jump into getting them off of wormers. Now, I do believe with the method that we're using, in the long run, what your cattle can get to where they do better without it. So there may be a time where we may move forward on that. Personally, I don't trust myself and my own knowledge enough to get off of that. So I think you can ask her, just when we do have to give them up and give them some warmer and things like that. I think you can. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Savannah, that it's a lot easier to work the cows? I mean, they're just a lot easier to work with.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
what would your experience be in that?
Um, well, what we went from 4 or 5 of us working cows, and it
It wasn't enough people.
just being crazy
Yeah.
and
And we had
running everywhere.
really nice equipment where they're at. I mean, really nice equipment, and we had 4 or 5 people, and it was too hard
We went from that to just the two of us working our cows.
with really poor,
Yeah,
halfway put together equipment,
and it was actually really easy.
and
I mean, it went
enjoyable.
really smoothly. Next time, I mean, it might be totally different, but this
Yeah,
time it was pretty easy. So
yeah. Our our phone that we're recording on is actually showing that we're not. We're kind of running out of time. So what we might do is maybe split this up into another video as well. Go ahead and end this video pretty soon. We're just about done with this topic. The next part, we're still discussing what we do for a living. So I think I'm going to end it on the cows.